Hi, it's your boy Jay here in this earthly plane. Yes, that's what I said. And I want to extend the warmest, the warmest of love and salutations and reverence and respect and care and concern just because. And for some reason, this seems to be what wants to come out. Can any of you relate to this, that the journey right now has been to gain clarity of what specifically my heart is wanting me to share with the world? You know, my path has been so much so many different things, and being someone who genuinely appreciates so much about life, I find that picking one specific thing to focus on just, I don't know, it just doesn't really speak to me, you know? And and maybe that's how I'm meant to live. Having several different, things that I do. And I think the question comes in when the conversation moves to money, right? So many of us have like no idea, right? It's like this in between. It's like, I love everybody. I simply want to expand my spirit and share the overflow of love from my heart space in every which way. And then it's like we're in the middle of we're observing that we are shifting our belief as it relates to abundance, right? We understand intellectually that abundance is not money. Like everything is abundance, right? But um, simply the expression of all that I am uh, is abundance, abundance of everything, just simply allowing the natural flow of life to flow through my being, right? To flow through me, not placing any blocks, not having any aversions. The the part I'm at with this is resonant versus not resonant, you know? That's where I'm at. So, for example, many of you know that I used to do a lot of acting, used to appear in commercials and films and all of this kind of stuff. And I was alerted that there were a few things for me to place my loving awareness on that were part of my journey. So, specifically, when I was young, I was conditioned into seeking attention and approval, as well as placing a lot of my perceived value in and worthiness into uh, the physical shape of my body, the condition that my body was in. And so when I found acting, it was super fun, but at the time, unbeknownst to me, this was a way for me to gain attention and seek and gain approval. Everyone around me pretty much, and many people who didn't know me, a lot of people simply, they really supported this for me. And that's why it confused so many people when I stepped away. And it confused me as well for a little while. But I realized that I have no desire um, to say, hey, look at me, I'm really good looking, right? The impact piece, the impact piece, that is all that I care about now, is having an impact. And so that led me to place my loving awareness on that, and then I began to jump into impact. And jumping into impact was the greatest gift that the universe, I mean, I it was an amazing gift. Let's just say that. Because getting to feel the impact of someone feeling more joy in their life, more fulfillment in their life, getting to feel like they can actually um, live through more of their being as a direct result of, what we are able to and what we choose to tap them into. I mean, it's of course a fine line between ego and spirit and humble and, taking credit. Um, but yeah, I think that's something to talk about right there too, is like, I think so many of us have an issue with not wanting to take credit for making the choice to share a particular frequency with someone or a particular thing, something that's helpful. And I have struggled with that. I've had an internal battle with that, as well. And even to this moment, like, I'm really not quite sure, um, what is the right move, but like what feels the most resonant, what feels the most empowering is that we are all source. We're all from source. We are actually all source energy, just manifesting through these physical vessels, right? We are the consciousness animating through this body, right? Bringing life, breathing life into everything in this realm, as well as that underlying magnificence, the underlying supreme intelligence that animates everything through creation, right? I have childlike wonder for that. And when I pause and I pull back from the performing and from the, wanting everyone to really resonate with what I'm saying, when I pull back from all that, it's like, wow, that hum, that hum that's always there. Mother Nature echoes it throughout all of her existence. The sun literally bringing the love, the unconditional love all the time. And we can be that as well, you know? That's that's ultimately what my true being wants to create as my life work is reminding us all and just helping a few of us, as many as I can, to remember to take that sacred pause throughout the day whenever we are finding ourselves, our beings rushing, feeling like we are the ones who must chase. When I take a moment and place loving awareness on that recognition, it really feels like to chase something is to tell my being and the entire universe that I believe we must chase, that there is something missing from us being completely and utterly beautiful as we are. Close your eyes with me for a moment. Let's have a nice seated position here. That that really feels like something to illuminate, something to place loving awareness on. Because as I speak about this, I can feel within the feminine side, within the heart meridian, there's a there is some pain in there, right? There is some pain in there. There is a disempowering feeling within the feminine heart space, within the place where the inner child and the pure self and the self we are in this moment all converge, because healing is, it's like a merging of all those, right? In order to heal something that's happened in the past, we reintroduce, we re-meet that version of us, and we parent them the way that would reassure them in that moment that they were still whole, that nothing that happened, nothing that could possibly happen could ever remove us from wholeness. It might have changed our lens a bit because we understandably walk through these moments in life cumulatively building a narrative, right? We get older, and therefore it makes logical sense in the physical way that one day is building upon the story from the last day. And if that whole life is a story, then it does make sense to utilize what happened to decide what we want to have happen now and moving forward. But in that moment when we perceived that our hearts were harmed, or that we suffered, or that we lost a part of ourselves, let's gain some awareness on that. We are from Source, we are Source energy. We are each a eternal piece, a piece of the eternal collective soul, the divine creative spark that animates all of life. So if that is the case, if you believe that, which I do, then there really is nothing that can turn us into only a percentage of the whole being. We are always the whole being. We might perceive that we have been hurt, and now we do not feel as though we can be the full being. We end up, a lot of times, I think, in those moments, we end up blocking off a part of us that we perceive caused the perceived hurt. But maybe that is simply pointing to us not realizing, maybe it's pointing to us getting overly attached to what other people do, what other people say. Because if they hadn't said that, or if they hadn't done that, then we would still be our unadulterated selves, our unfiltered self. You know, we start out as kids as whole expressions, and then we start to perceive what happens and how people react to us, and we say, oh, that piece wasn't accepted, and for survival, for my parents' approval, you know, I need to do this, I need to not be that. And then one day we wake up years down the road and we're like, huh, I think I've ignored parts of me. I think I've shut parts of me off from the light that I am. So we are the light, right? We are. We shine light because we are the light. Our loving awareness is light. So the more that we allow ourselves to, the more of ourself that we place our loving awareness on equals the more of our being that is in the light, that feels the love, that feels the light. And it's totally understandable that we might observe different parts of ourself that we want to change, you know? But I think that I'm just massaging out some of the heart space energy. And you might have noticed there that I actually brought it all back into the heart space. This is not a coincidence. I didn't simply do that randomly. I truly believe that our being is whole, and whatever we are not accepting, whatever we feel hurt over, that is our homework, you know? It's our homework to learn how to accept that. To recognize our true essence as source, as the divine creator energy, the same creative spark that animates everything in the universe is within us. And anything that is possible, any which way that we can be, is within the scope of consciousness. It is. Like, it doesn't matter who doesn't approve of whatever which way that we are or any piece of our authentic self, it's all within the scope of consciousness. And therefore, if we can place our own loving awareness on it, then we can feel the light in that part of ourselves as well. And that is what healing is. At least that's my opinion, is shining light on all the pieces that have been in the dark and applying that loving awareness as source energy, redefining what we identify as, because we are not these stories. We are not these experiences. We are not the hurt that we perceive. We're not the joy that we perceive necessarily either. But we are the whole gamut, right? We are the whole scope of consciousness. We are the observer, the awareness that gets to observe all of it. And if we are the observer would not necessarily be judgmental, I don't believe. But we also probably would not try to hang on to any particular resonance either. We would probably, as the observer, just observe it, enjoy it for all it is while it's, while we are observing it, and then let it go with the understanding that we are not looking to ignore any particular resonance. We are not looking to focus on anything in particular either. We simply want to be. No performance, no feeling as though I am only worthy if I observe certain resonances. The entire gamut of consciousness is ours to observe. That's our prerogative. So if we observe any frequency, let's simply observe it and I'm going to go through the chakras. Okay. I want to simply feel a little bit more empowered. So, because it is our choice, it's our choice what we choose to illuminate. That's our choice. There is no victim mentality in this life. I mean, if something has happened to you that's heinous, someone's taken advantage of you, gross advantage, by all means, like, I could never advise on something like that. I could just send you my love and my deep compassion, you know? But for everything else, there is no victim mentality. It's only because we have decided that. So I'm not saying that what you have felt isn't real. What I am saying is that that does not define you, and that it is up to each one of us to create this life, to co-create this life with the full gamut of consciousness. And so just be aware of that. Stretch up, back, pop that between the shoulder blades out. Exhale. Let's rub the clavicle under, above and under the clavicle, and through the heart, from the heart over to where the heart meridian starts even. Nice. A little bit of a press there. Switch the other side. Yeah, nice. Just like press that down right there a little bit. However it's comfortable for you. Sitting up straight seems to be the most important thing for me, and just like releasing that pressure through the chest and heart and lungs. Clear channel, top to bottom, and a little bit of a tuck within this area, just tucking it back a bit so that there's a pressure, um, within the perineum where that root chakra begins, and then kind of pulling the midsection back a bit as well, because we essentially want everything in the same line, for alignment. All right, let's close our eyes, relax the shoulders, release that pressure from the chest, release that pressure from behind the gut. Inhale through the chest, sit with it, and let it flow out like a wave. Inhale through the root chakra, perineum, expanding. Feel how that also inflates the heart. Sit with it. See if we can release some of that pressure in the forehead, behind the eyes. Maybe the eyes are not all the way closed. Release the pressure in the chest. Inhale through the perineum. Exhale it upward. Inhale through the sacral. Move it upward. Inhale through the solar plexus. Pop that neck. Let it keep moving upward. Inflate through the heart. Once more. Sit with it. Release the pressure. Keep it open. Release the pressure from the forehead. Exhale it. Exhale it upward. Now, from the heart space, the next two spaces um, to move the life force through. This is not what the chakra teachings typically teach. Typically, the chakra teachings say to come from the heart upward into the throat. But I was given some wisdom on this that uh, when there is something that has been a blockage in the heart, it typically has, it's typically accompanied by a feeling of not being enough. And this creates a feeling of needing support. Um, and now we are we've been tapped into for this breathing session, to being that we are source, right? And so this gives us the recognition that we are supporting our being, that we are actually that mother, that father, and that support system, because the full gamut of consciousness is ours to observe and apply for this being anytime we desire, right? So now that we have that understanding, you might feel something in the back, like in the left lat. So that is a feminine support structure feeling, right? So we can utilize what's called a bij mantra from yoga to move this life force, okay? So sa and so would typically be what moves it. And from the heart space, that would be yam. So if we start yam, sa, so, 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 kri, shri. Mm. Yam, Sa, So, Krim, Shrim. Yam, Sa, So, Krim, Shrim. Yam, Sa, So, Krim, Shrim. And now we are going to release and dismiss every single frequency that we are observing right now, besides the ones that are in our own being. So that is the other piece of this, is when we tap into our heart space, it is very common for us to also tap into the heart space of others around us. And by dismissing these vibrations, these resonances that people are holding on to around us, sometimes it might be them feeling compassion for us. Sometimes it might be them playing victim. Sometimes it might be them, other people around us, uh, feeling that they are not whole, whatever it might be. But we can easily dismiss that by saying, I dismiss all of the frequencies and the vibrations that I am tapping into right now that are not from my own being. Get your journal out, explore what is it that I care deeply about? What is it that my being cares deeply about that is currently something in the world that I can change, that I can create something, I can offer something that helps to improve this? And the size of the group that it impacts is not the important part. What we are creating, the thing that helps your both sides of your heart to pull that energy excess into the center and let it push up through the throat chakra to feel like you're breaking through and expressing what the heart wants you to. That's what it's really about. The impact, yeah, it's about that too, just like it is for me. But this is how we get to that breakthrough. So sit in this. Don't ignore that pressure that you might be feeling in both sides of your chest, your heart. That is the excess energy wanting to rise up. That is the innermost truth wanting to come up through the throat chakra so that we may integrate this. This is our salvation. So, um, bust out your journal, start making a list, start talking to yourself, to your being, about what is this thing that I want to express into the world? What is this truth? What is this thing that I know I can help with? And then now let's go and let's create from that space. I love you so much. Let's do this. Keep in touch. Let me know if this helped.